So I'm really excited to be with you today. We have Shawnnyce, Josephine, and Michaela with us. Thank you for being with us today. And what we're going to explore today is the fact that in order to shift this conditioning, in order for us to live in this connection first way of living, we have to experience this. So it's not something that we can learn analytically. We can get the concepts analytically, but we have to, when the rubber meets the road, meaning that when we're in a moment of being reactive, of when we're triggered or when we're stressed or when we have a hard time, we have to be able to navigate these moments. So we're going to touch base on that in this episode. We're going to demonstrate how we can live in this way of connection first. And we're going to see how gentle and really it's a compassionate way of being towards ourselves. The correction way is a little bit harsh. It tends to be what it is. It's corrective. It tends to be, we tend to end up feeling sort of not enough or that will never add up by following this conditioned thought. So, in essence, the other aspect of what we're going to discover is that at the core, once we learn to attune to our emotional body, meaning attune to our distress instead of following the conditioned thinking, what we find is our innate senses that are intact within us, which are resilience, courage, love, and value. Those exist within us. And oftentimes, that experience of ourselves being resilient and courageous is hijacked by the fact that we only give attention to that conditioned thinking and keep pursuing it, and we deny the emotional experience. So, we're going to see that what coexists together is that these innate senses that live within me exist also with the distress that exists in my body. So if I learn to attune to this distress, then I'm able to really connect with the true essence of who I am as a person. And that's really the essence of belonging is as we experience ourselves as resilient, courageous, loving, valuable human being, we're able to really, really get at the core how valuable and how loving we are. Okay, so I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath, and we're going to start by exploring how, if this resilience that I'm referring to, this innate sense that I'm suggesting live within us, let's start by seeing if we can identify if this is true. So I'd like you to take a moment and just take a breath. I'd like you to think about a moment of something that you've overcome in your life. So think about that for a moment. It could be absolutely anything, anything from an animal dying in your life to, you graduate from college, whatever is really that it has meaning to you. Shawnnyce, is there something that comes up for you?
Well, there's a whole lot. I own my own business. And so a part of it is that I have overcome a lot of the things that my family didn't think was possible. And so
Mm.
for me, that's a huge one. And I just started a brand new business this year, speaking of change. So yeah, it's a little nerve wracking, but I'm getting there. Yeah.
Wow. So tell us a little bit more about that. What is it like? What's it like for you? So you're saying that you didn't really get the support from your parents. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And a support from parents, family, nobody thought it was possible. And so when I started my own business, I was just kind of out there on my own,
Hmm.
doing things on my own. And so it took a lot of courage, speaking of courage. So it took a lot of that because I didn't believe that I was capable of doing this because everyone had said that I couldn't. So
What kind
yeah.
of business did you start?
I actually have a domestic violence agency. I do treatment for offenders. So, court ordered people who need to come in and take classes and learn additional tools. That's the service that we offer.
Wow. Wow. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
So as you say that, what are you noticing? Like if you take a moment to reflect on what it's like to have the closest people in your life not believe that you're capable of doing what you feel passionate about and what you feel like you really want to do in your life. What's that like?
Um, it's like fighting against the tide, I guess. You know,
Hmm.
you're swimming and you're getting kind of, you feel like you're getting swept away, but you have to keep pushing. That's kind of how it feels. Yeah.
And what happens to Shawnnyce when that's, when that support is not there?
I have to start depending on myself, and so
Hmm.
that was a huge change for me. I had to
Hmm.
depend on. I couldn't depend on anybody else, so I had to depend on me, my own resources, and making sure that I was able to keep going every day. Yeah.
So as you're sharing right now, Shawnnyce, are you aware of how well you present yourself?
Well, thank you, thank you very much. It's
I
it's
noticed you're chuckling. How come?
because it's odd for me. Sometimes it's my thoughts are odd. So when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I wonder, like, do other people think that what do they think of me? What do they think that I'm doing, like, in this community that I live in? Because sometimes I'm out, sometimes I'm here. I wonder what people think. And so I have had people say that to me too. You're so confident, you're so there. And I'm like, oh, I don't realize, because it's just something that I continue to do. I'm a single mother of three children as well, three daughters that I raised. And so people would ask me those kind of things, like, how did you do it? I'm like, well, who has a choice? You just do it. you just do it, one foot in front of the other, and you make things happen. And that's the approach I had to take with my business too. So
Right.
yeah.
So I want to reflect to you right now that I'm I'm having a visceral experience of a very, very strong, confident woman. I'm having this experience with you right now. Is that true for you too, Josephine?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah?
sure. Oh yeah, definitely. It like
Michaela?
trips me up. It's like, yeah, I'm right there
Yeah,
feeling the power.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, ladies.
So I want you to notice just for a minute, Shawnese, that is what we are, like what I'm saying here, right? So for me, a lot of what I'm going to demonstrate and help us with is that I'm listening with my emotional body. So that means that I bring all of my presence and I'm hearing the narrative. So I heard a narrative, right, that you said about your parents, about what you've overcome. And then I heard a narrative where you put in question this confident woman. Did you hear that narrative?
I did. I did. Yeah.
Is that an awareness laughter?
It is, because
Yeah.
I think those things. So it's odd that you say that, but yeah, I think that often. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so what we can observe is that's understandable, Shanice, because that's a result of the conditioning that you receive, right? It's just, and probably it was well intended. If you look at parents who don't necessarily believe in what their children want to do in life, what do you think it's based on? Is it
uh,
really just mean?
no, I don't think it was mean spirited at all. I think it
Right.
was it was based on them not wanting to see me suffer or
Exactly.
fail.
So it's kind of like, some people have like, don't set the bar too
Right,
high,
right,
you know,
right,
or like, or like Robin Williams' father said, why don't you just, an actor is all good, but why don't you pick up welding on the side?
right. Just in case, just in case. Yeah.
So I want to come back to this experience that I think we're all having, that we're sharing with you, that you are a very confident woman.
Thank you.
And it's felt, it's strong. And here's one of the things to consider, Shanice, is that it isn't a compliment. Oftentimes in our society, compliments again are something that follows the train of thought of conditioning.
Right.
Okay. What we're looking for is our true aspect of who we are. And right now you're demonstrating that, and we can sense you're very eloquent when you speak. you've taken risk in your life. You've raised 3 kids. We can feel your power. It's very palpable.
That's awesome.
It is. It is absolutely awesome.
Wow.
So we're gonna look a little bit how strong, like even as you were stating, this strong woman that you are, slowly but surely what's start happening is the narrative, the strong conditioned thinking slips in there, and then it starts like reverting back to, well, I'm not really that person, you
Right.
know. And we don't realize how often we are doing this to ourselves, and that leaves us, that's what starts to create a lot of distress in our lives, because as it keeps creeping in, eventually then we start really buying into completely, and we actually lose track of being really connected with our emotional body. We especially lose track of it when some event that happens that's kind of uh, a big trigger in our life, so is stressing us out, right? And we'll go even more in the narrative there, which is very unfortunate, because the more we go towards that distress, the more we know how to attune to it, the more we stay in touch with the powerful woman. So we'll explore that some more. So
Okay.
thank you for sharing that, Shawnnyce. Josephine, do you have an example of something you've overcome?
Oh my gosh. Like there's 20 billion of them, but I'll go with something sort of recent that, you know, um,
Sounds good.
okay. Uh, I'm still in the process of overcoming and adjusting. But I had a 17-year relationship end, where the person just said they didn't want to do it anymore and just up and left. Uh, when we had plans, and I haven't been in this position since, yeah, a very, 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 very long time, since my
Mm,
early 20s, and
mm.
I'm almost 60. So, I found myself, okay, what do I do? Who am I, separate from another person being by my side? And uh, so, yeah,
What's
that's
that like
I
for you
figure
right?
I'm overcoming it, but yeah.
Yeah. What's that like for you right now? Um, Finding yourself by yourself after 17 years of being with a partner.
Um, Odd. It's very odd. I'm enjoying it in some aspects, but other times it's sort of like, wow, there's like this. I wouldn't call it a hole, but yeah, there's like something. It feels like it's missing. That's the narrative,
What's
but then
happening to you,
there's another part that's like I'm fine.
and what happens to Josephine when you're missing your partner?
Oh, then I go to the sad, and then I go to the angry. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's that like to have that sadness and that anger?
Um. Well, the sadness, I'm so used to sadness that it's sort of comforting. It's the anger part that when it starts coming in, I try to push it away from
Hmm.
sitting in that. Um, it doesn't feel, there's that whole thing of thinking that it's wrong to be angry, make excuses for the other.
Right. Is not what we learn, that it's wrong to be angry. It's so strong in our society, isn't it?
Yeah.
So imagine for a moment, as I'm talking to you right now in my emotional body, what's happening is actually a sense of compassion and a sense of, okay, she's angry. What's that like? If we're just with Josephine and we're just with that anger, what's that like?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
That's a good one because it's really hard for me to tap into that. It's
Is
really
it hard, or is it that oftentimes our mind is telling us that maybe it's dangerous to go there?
yes. Yeah.
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 And so what if we could shift that perspective for a minute and notice that anyway, for me, what I when I'm in my emotional body and I'm present, I just want to be with Josephine. I'm not holding a judgment of whether she needs to be this way or that way.
Mhm.
I am just aware that there's anger for her.
Mhm.
And then I'm interested in what that experience is like.
Well, it's like
So slow simmer.
a slow simmer underneath. Once in a while, it erupts out of nowhere.
And when it erupts, what does it want to say? Like if if we're just with that experience and we don't have judgment, we just and I mean, imagine for a second saying to ourselves, it's okay. I have the right to be angry. I can be angry. It's all right. What happens when you hear that?
Mm. It's that word right, the right to be. There's
Yeah.
resistance there because there's always a negotiation on why to choose something other than anger.
Here's the thing. You see, I hear that and it's logically it makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
there's a huge difference
But there's
between what
no
you
feeling.
well, there's a huge difference between what you just said and being there for Josephine, being with her, meeting her where she's at. So, did the partner leave you?
Yes.
Okay. So, it seems like being angry is, whew, I feel the sadness behind that now.
Oh, yeah, that comes up first. It's coming up now, and I'm not going to stop it.
Yeah. What's that like to feel that sadness? So, there's,
Eh.
huh?
It feels like ugh.
Oh.
It's my whole face changes. I can feel it in my body. Everything just goes like this. Um, a little shaky. The fear of there's this like feeling of shame that comes with it. Like always, like I revert to the I did something wrong first. What did I do?
Ouch. Now, I can really feel the hurt now.
Yeah, it's coming.
Like, what did I do? Right? Like,
Or
ooh,
what didn't
that,
I do?
what's that?
Or what didn't I do? It's
Yeah.
like it's that tallying of
Yeah, it
correct.
starts it starts to feel like a lot of weight now.
Yep.
What happens to you when there's just that kind of
Uh,
pressure and it's like, what have you done wrong?
the throat starts closing up,
And what
and then
happens to Josephine?
she wants to be very small and very unseen, and
And what
yeah,
happens when you become small?
then no one can hurt me.
I'm confused now. What's
And
that?
so am I.
What's
So
that?
so am I.
Yeah, that makes sense. So right now I'm just with you and I'm sensing a lot of that pain that you're talking about and the hurt.
And then
And
starts coming the anger.
yeah, I can feel the anger's coming back,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So if you let, what's that like to just be with the anger now? We're just attuning, no judgment.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's I start disassociating.
So I want you to entertain an idea for a second. And we're going to check in with Shawnnyce here and Michaela and see if they resonate with this. So you see, as you're saying this, as I'm listening to this narrative, the anger starts rising up because it doesn't match the woman I'm with. The woman I'm with right now is so brave. Do you believe that, Shawnese?
I do. I feel like, and Josephine, is it pressure that you feel? Because you mentioned that earlier, that everyone expects you to still be in that relationship and to be
No,
in a relationship at this point, or no?
no, it's the pressure of not going gravitating back and begging or trying to get back into the graces of someone or something. it feels weird not having someone there. And so there's a part of me that wants to ignore the anger and try to
So I
take
want
care of
to
myself by stepping back into something that's unhealthy.
I'm going to invite us right now, just everybody just take a breath, and I want you to notice that where the space I'm inviting us to be is connection first. And what that is there is no need to find any solution or resolve any problem here. There's no need to find a source of anything either, the source of the problem or any of that. I'm with a woman and I'm reporting an experience of that woman and see if you can resonate with that. What I see is a really brave woman, a woman who's being honest, transparent, telling the truth, and she's in pain. And on top of allowing this to take place, which touches my heart and opens me up, I hear a narrative, and the narrative is really appears to be pretty strong, and it's coming in and it says, you know, what did you do wrong? What'd you do wrong? And it's just like, so here's this woman whose partner left, she's in pain, she's hurting, and then this narrative, this conditioning comes in and start beating up on her. And I'm like in pain, I can feel it, and at the same time, I can sort of feel this anger that rises up that she's describing. I'm just attuning, I'm just present with it. And the anger comes in because it doesn't match the woman I'm with. Meaning, does the narrative, do we say to a woman who is as brave as she is being right now, as strong, as honest and authentic as she is being, do we say to a woman like that, well, you know, what did you do wrong? What are you doing wrong? Shawnnyce, you're shaking your head no?
No, she hasn't done anything wrong.
And is that your experience too, Michaela?
Yes.
So I'm with this, we're all with this woman right now, Josephine. We're with her. And she is brave.
Absolutely.
What are you noticing right now, Josephine?
Shifting. There's a shift in the sadness, but there is a little more increase of the anger.
Okay.
It's almost like I I know that I agree with you guys in that, and I felt like an injustice happened.
So breathe into that for a moment and just notice. So I'm hearing the words, there's an injustice. Okay, I hear that. And what I want you to know is I'm still with her right now. And she has not budged away from being courageous. She's still here. A lot of people hitting where we are now, attuning the way we are, would want to run out the door. Is that true, Michaela? Yeah.
Yes.
Shawnnyce?
Yeah, wouldn't want to talk about it. I get
Yeah.
it.
And
Mm.
so we're still with this woman that's really brave. You are so brave. What are you noticing happens when you hear that?
I noticed that there's an agreement, but then there's also resistance
Yeah. That
because
I
of the messages that were in the relationship. I'm still trying to get rid of those, which was the opposite of what you're saying, and the opposite of my deep down knowing.
okay. So I really hear that. I want you to pay attention that this is what we all do in our lives. This is what we do to ourselves, right? So first the narrative is pounding on you by telling you what did you go wrong? What did you do wrong? And then if you notice, it started navigating towards the injustice. So now the narrative wants to blame.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that? That is exactly what conditioned thinking does to us. And yet, my experience, even though I don't have the details of all this, and perhaps there is some injustice in there. We never know. I mean, there's life is has all kinds of injustice in it, really. Yet I'm still in the presence of an incredibly courageous and strong woman. You can't you can't take that away from us.
Okay. All right.
That was
I'm fully on board now.
that was a fantastic response.
Nice.
Notice how vibrant the laughter
Yeah.
and so much expansion in the in your energy right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know how vibrant you are?
Um, well, the room's brighter.
Yay.
So I want to invite us to notice that what's happening is a natural course of attuning. If we notice, attuning allows us to connect and meet us where we're at. And what naturally arises from that is what I'm facilitating here is if we make the long enough, if we are able to disconnect from the narrative for a minute, from this, the train of thought that leads us to relive this conditioning, right? If we just unhook from it and we stay long enough in this uncomfortable place, it's only uncomfortable, by the way, because the conditioning says so. Because society and my parents, and if you look at it, it's very rare in society that as a child, how many adults have taken the time to attune to us? You know, you come home and let's say you were late and you're all muddy or something, and but you just had like a fight with your best friend. And what happens at home, the focus will be on the fact that you left mud all over the floor and that now you're throwing a tantrum and you're going to your room. It's like, does the adult in this space, right, with us, is the adult capable of focusing the connection first? Like most of us have received behavior. Change your behavior, change your behavior, change your behavior. And what happens is that the emotional body takes a back seat. And then the more we train ourselves for this emotional body to take the back seat, we end up feeling distress. And when we get distress, we're already in distress because it's been repressed. And now we're like, we don't, there's no room to meet ourselves where we're at. If you look at an adult that can actually attune to a child, let's say a child is really angry and is screaming, and instead of saying to the child, stop that, or your brother's not like that, or whatever it is, corrective ways that we insist on this child, what if you saw an adult and they'd say, oh, wow, that's a lot of powerful energy. Yeah, that's what is that like? Oh, and then they just stay with it. What you'll see naturally when you do that with a child is they'll be angry for about a couple minutes, and then they're seen, they're felt, right? And the next thing they'll go, okay, we're good.
Right.
And on they go, you know? And so
So,
it's amazing. Attuning, and it's not just reserved for when we're children. It's one of the most mature way that we can be with ourselves. It does take courage initially because being transparent, being vulnerable, like you're demonstrating, Josephine, is something that our conditioning and people in our world are saying, oh, you know, you have to be careful. You're going to be rejected, right? Be careful. And it's The very thing that frees us up is the thing that our conditioning is telling us is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
I refuse to not be vulnerable anymore. I cry all the time.
That's right.
I I have all my emotions intact. And here's the thing though, the most important aspect of it is to learn that if we explode or have an outburst with these emotions, or if we implode with them, neither of those ways are about attuning. That's not what attuning is. Attuning is what we just did right now with you, Josephine, what we just did with you, Shawnnyce. That's attuning. It's entering the experience with interest, curiosity, compassion. I want to know what that's like. What's that like for the woman who's angry? Let's just be with her. Let's stay with her. And pay attention. Sometimes the narrative will come back on board. Start blaming and say, oh, it's an injustice. And then it's like I could pick it back up and start running. And then I go, whoa, 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 wait, wait. I'm with the woman. Let's stay with her. Let's not disappear again into what we've been conditioned to follow. Oh,
Yeah. I feel a shift just by this connection, staying very present with you guys in the here and now, and you connecting with me in the moment. Like you
yeah.
said, not the story, not the narrative, not all the gobbledygook.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but the real essence of us being here right now, and you guys recognizing what I'm doing. And I'm so very grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the smile that you have, Josephine, is like contagious. It's just
Absolutely. Oops. No vaccine for that. Sorry.
I love it.
That's great. Thank you for watching. We're on this beautiful journey together. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to know more about this amazing adventure in belonging, visit our website at avivelevy.com. You can sign up for our newsletter where we walk you through all the principles of Avive Levy. You can also choose to be a participant on this talk show. And we also have a 12-week online group series that you can register for. We're really grateful to be on this journey with you. Avive Levy.